Yogendra Yadav, in a way, the Prime Minister referred to it, and many critics of the opposition refer to this, that there is a negativism, a pessimism in the opposition which doesn't match, according to the government's cheerleaders, the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground, Harsh Madhusudan says, as the PM says, India will be the third largest economy soon. We are a country which is getting more FDI than ever before. We are slowly, in certain key areas, becoming a manufacturing hub. Why not? Is the opposition not being able to capture the zeitgeist of this new rising India, as the government cheerleaders call it?
Rajdeep, your question contains the answers. Cheerleaders do not ever see the truth. I heard Mr. Harsh saying that the big picture is that India is getting more tolerant, that polarization is reducing. I don't know whether to laugh or to cry at this kind of things, and that someone with a straight face can say such things on national television. Probably, I don't know, I'm sure he lives in the same country that I do. Here is a country where people are going on the streets saying Musalmano ko kal se gaon mein ghusne nahi denge, ye kar denge, ban kar denge, lynchings are taking place, no is taking place. And someone can say on national television that we are becoming more tolerant, that things are becoming less polarized. Yes,
I'll let you
political
respond,
polarization, ideological polarization is one thing, and this kind of ethnic polarization, this kind of communal polarization, with clear protection from above, with clear sanction from above, this is extraordinary. I'm absolutely shocked that someone cannot see it. But allow me to say something that I wanted to say, namely about Manipur. I don't think we should get distracted by such things which anyone can come up with any time. On Manipur, if I was from Manipur and I was watching this debate, I would say, all right, for the first time they acknowledge that Manipur exists. All right, they're all talking about my state. At the end of it, what do I take away more than the anguish? Of course, the anguish. But I get to share about the past. I get to share about Mizoram. Yes, important thing, Rajdeep, is I think for the first time, I could be wrong, but I think for the first time in Indian parliamentary history, Prime Minister of this country has acknowledged that Indian Air Force had bombed Mizoram, which was such a shameful episode in our history. But that was not said for remorse. That was not said to offer an apology to people of Manipur. That was said to score a tiny, trite, petty debating point in a parliamentary debate. As a Manipuri, as a Meitei, do I feel I got assurance that, all right, things would get better? As a Kuki, do I feel that, no, I would not be called foreigner in my own land? As a Naga, do I feel that now my issues would be looked at with more empathy? If I was from Manipur, from either of these communities, or if I was from the Northeast, any other state of Northeast, I would feel like a football. And sheer indifference of the government, even at the end of perhaps the only debate of its kind in India's parliamentary history. If the Prime Minister and Home Minister of this country do not have anything to offer by way of a Chief Minister who's proven to be the most incompetent Chief Minister, nothing about by way of security forces, their presence and their conduct, where the central and the state security forces are clashing on the streets. Nothing to say about those things. This is very disappointing.
Harsh Madhusudan, quick response, because to your point that we are a more tolerant nation.
There is a June 2021 Pew survey in which 24% of Indian Muslims, and Pew is a very reputed American survey organization with a very, very proper scientific stratified random sampling procedure, 24% of Indian Muslims said they face discrimination, and 21% of Indian Hindus said they face discrimination. There were many questions, you can go through it, and the overall picture is most Indians feel that they're living in harmony. This is a 2021 survey by Pew, number one. So these are facts, not narratives that we are inventing in our own minds. Secondly, speaking of communal violence in the Northeast, what happened in the Nelly riots? The Nelly riots happened in the 1980s. 2,000 or more people died, and there was zero accountability. I'm not saying it in the sense of whataboutery, although whataboutery is a perfectly valid tool to have accountability. The point is the trend for violence in India is consistently downwards, and I'm saying it is across governments. I'm not saying it's only for BJP or for Congress. I'm saying across governments, Indian state capacity violence has been falling. So the reality is violence is overall falling. Most Indians, including Muslims, say that they find they're living in harmony. These are facts. These are survey results. If Yogendra Yadav doesn't believe them, maybe he's living in another country.
Okay. You know, as I said, there will be certain issues that will continue to divide us in the times in which...
I do believe in survey results. When Hindus say they are being discriminated, they are speaking about caste. Please get your basics right.
Okay, as I said, this is an issue which we will amplify in later
this is only on religion. This is not on caste.
Okay.
This is on religion.
Okay, we will discuss the wider religious polarization in future programs, but as I end with a couple of minutes, I want to know, I'm going to ask the question, who won the debate? And did any speaker stand out? Quick responses as we have just a couple of minutes. Patricia Mukim, again go first. Who, according to you, who won the debate? Did any speaker stand out?
Nobody won the debate. The people of India have lost. We've lost out in the din.
Okay, that's a very strong word, and maybe you're right. The people of India have lost out. They could have done with a better constructed debate, many would believe. Ashok Malik, who won the debate? Any speaker who stood out?
I have a more prosaic answer than Patricia Mukim. The opposition could not establish that the country had no confidence in Mr. Modi and his government. So in that sense, Mr. Modi carried the day. Speakers who stood out, actually many speakers stood out. Mr. Owaisi stood out. Mr. Modi, of course, stood out. He was expected to stand out. But I've been listening to parliamentary speeches and watching parliamentary speeches for many years, as all of us on this panel have. I was particularly impressed by Amit Shah's speech. I think it will go down as one of the great parliamentary speeches I've heard.
Interesting. Pawan Verma, who won the debate?
You know, the young Mr. Gogoi who began the debate, I think he made a structured speech. But the fact of the matter is, I would say that Mr. Rahul Gandhi missed an opportunity. Missed an opportunity to prove his credentials of being entitled to play a leading role in the opposition. And the opposition's presentations were not structured. So therefore, I have to say that the speech that was given by the Prime Minister at the end of the debate, if you ask any ordinary person, I'm not talking about its factual accuracy in every respect, or the merits of what he said, which can be questioned on many of his claims. But as an orator, there are few to match him.
Point taken.
And the opposition presented him that opportunity on a platter.
I'm running out of time completely. Harsh Madhusudan, who won the debate very quickly, and any star speaker who stood out for you?
I think the Prime Minister came across as a global statesman who the opposition could not pin down on any substantive issue. I think the best speaker by far was Mr. Amit Shah, and actually in some ways, it was almost like that he was being given the opportunity to kind of take over on many substantive issues. Like, he was relatively quiet after the CAA days on these various issues after 370 and CA. So I thought that was very interesting from a communication perspective, because he was absolutely brilliant, not just in the last 3 days, but even today in introducing these 3 new bills, reforming CRPC, reforming Evidence Act, reforming IPC. So a lot of work is happening, and I thought the way he communicated was very brilliant and perhaps better than a lot of people would have expected.
Yogendra Yadav, final word. Who won the debate? Any speaker stood out?
Rajdeep, what was that issue was too critical, too big for us to award debating points and gold medals or silver medals. The tragedy, as Patricia rightly points out, is that perhaps the only, and maybe for years to come, the only debate that took place on one part of the northeast of this country, the people of northeast lost out, the people of India lost out.
Okay.